I've been waiting for this movie for a very long time because I'm a big fan of the books that it's based on. The Wild Robot, which is now in cinemas, is based on a trilogy of children's books by Peter Brown, and it is absolutely fantastic. In no small part due to the fact that it reminds me a lot of my favorite animation of all time, The Iron Giant.
Mm.
Now, don't get me wrong, I love Snow White. I love Toy Story. I think they're absolutely revolutionary, along with a whole bunch of other Disney movies. But if you asked for a top five animated films of all time, top of my list would always be The Iron Giant. Like, that is the movie that I rewatch the most. I love Toy Story. I love Toy Story 2, but I find I don't rewatch them as much as The Iron Giant. And I think a lot of it has to do with how much it appeals to all of those other things that I love, like the
Right.
space race and superheroes. And it's just an incredible story, beautifully told, and one of the best animated movies of all time. The Wild Robot feels a lot like a spiritual successor to that movie. In a lot of ways, it is very reminiscent of the works of Miyazaki in the way the story is told, in the style of the storytelling. It feels less Hollywood. It's also very true to the books that it's based on. So if you are a fan of the children's books, or if your children are a fan of those books, they are likely not to be disappointed by this movie because it does exactly what it's supposed to.
I did not like this movie.
You are fucking crazy.
Wait. Because it made me cry.
Yes!
It made me feel feelings like a real boy, and I did not like it at all.
Bahir has no soul, so every time something makes him cry, it is a victory for the universe.
It's a victory for the human race.
Hallelujah, motherfucker. Also, I'm sorry, before you go on, I love this. Bahir is watching this movie by himself in a cinema, an empty cinema, on a Thursday morning because he couldn't make the press screening because his kitchen was being torn apart in his home. But he's watching this movie alone in an empty cinema and crying his eyes out. I have that image etched into my brain now forever. I fucking love it.
I was just gonna say I'm glad I watched this by myself because, man, I cried. Like, I didn't just tear up. I had tears rolling down my fat cheeks.
Same.
I fucking cried at this movie. And at no point did it feel like a gimmick. At no point did it feel like it was just trying to pull at my heartstrings. It was purely, completely earned. There were several moments in this film I hated it so much.
Right? In the sense that it wasn't emotionally manipulative.
Damn this movie.
It was all rooted in character and storytelling and this slow build up about this robot that crash lands on an island in a distant future where humanity is relegated to living under these glass domes. And this robot is supposed to be a home helper, but finds itself surrounded by insane animals and adopts a little duck.
Fuck this movie.
Victory!
Also, can I just say, you were talking about how the Wild Robot reminded you of the Iron Giant. I would actually go a little further back because I can't think of any specific movie this thing reminds me of, but spoiler alert, I guess, but there were deaths. There were deaths in this movie that I was not expecting. I was not expecting people to die. I mean, sure, they were unnamed animal characters, but they died. And I'm like, holy fuck.
Not just unnamed characters. I mean, the main story is rooted around a duck losing its parents.
That we see, by the way. The robot just picks up the wing of this duck and you go like, holy fuck, you're showing that to me, right? At one point, the robot has got a friend, a fox, and it's a cute fox. It's a great fox. It's Pedro Pascal as a fox. It's great. But he's just munching on other animals. It's just like, whoa, you're really not dumbing down this like animals eat animals situation, which is awesome.
No, and that's what I loved so much about it because it isn't some bullshit circle of life nonsense.
You're right. Absolutely.
They just lean into it. They're like, this is the law of the land. This is how it works. And yes, we all hate each other and we all want to eat each other. But maybe sometimes a truce is required for a greater good. But that's about it. And I thought the way that storyline was structured was absolutely fantastic. But for me, the real genius of this movie is how it really bridges both audiences. Like, there is so much here for children. There is so much here that children can learn. There are so many moral lessons and ethical questions that can be posed and all of that stuff, right? Sure, that's great. It's a kids' movie. It's what it's supposed to do. But watching it as an adult, it feels different from watching another cartoon as an adult.
Yeah.
This one feels like there's messaging for you as well with regards to kindness and the state of the world and all of the stuff that's happening, which may go over the heads of some kids, but for grown-ups, it feels like a conscious effort to message towards them as well. Like, all of it's
Yeah.
very subtle and nuanced, by the way. It's not in your face. It's not preachy. It's all rooted in character and story and done very, very well, which is what we like. But the way it bridges the gap of those audiences, because it knows parents are going to be taking their kids to this thing, let's give them something as well. And it's something of actual fucking great value.
I don't have children, but there's a part of me that thinks that all the things that you just said is also for the children, because if your child is conscious enough to be paying attention to more than just bright colors and moving images, I'm hoping your children will be asking the questions, right? And I think this is one of those films that will open up conversations about, oh, how can an opossum and a fox be friends? Because a fox would eat an opossum, but it's okay because you can always, yeah. So you have these conversations, and I thought that all of that was treated really, really well. This isn't just a Disney style, oh, look, Timon and Pumbaa are gonna teach a lion how to eat bugs and maggots and be a vegetarian because they're vegetarians. Oh, we're all funny, fun friends. No, it's none of that, right? I really, really liked this movie.
Also, it's rooted in the real, in that the way the story flows doesn't feel forced, it doesn't feel fake. The ending feels earned. The trailer is very misleading, by the way, because the trailer tries to throw in a lot of action packedness, which does exist towards the very, very end of the movie. But
Yeah.
even that stuff, the way it's executed is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
so the trailer makes it feel like a different movie, when in fact, the actual movie is this mother-son story. Yet again, like you said, Bahir, you don't have kids. I have a son, and I think having a child does change your perspective when you watch these things, or having a child does do that, whether you like it or not. But a great movie, and this is something we've spoken about recently, a great movie manages to convey that empathy across, irrespective of whether you have a child or not. Like,
Yeah.
we found that something like It Ends With Us didn't do that well enough, because people who had experienced the same sort of trauma that the main character did found themselves emotionally attached to that movie, even triggered by that movie. But with The Wild Robot, it doesn't matter if you're a parent. It doesn't matter if you have a child or if you're a mother or a father. The storytelling is so good that it actually conveys all of those emotions to you.
How far away did the movie stray from the book? Or did it stray from the book?
The book is very small. The book is a
Yeah.
true children's book. It's a combination between illustrations and text, very big font size. It's not a short book, but it's a very accessible read.
So it's the kind of book that I could finish in about an hour.
Oh, for sure. Easy. And really, really good read as well. Like what Brad Bird did with the Iron Giant, because the Ted Hughes Iron Giant is like super thin.
Yes.
And so Brad Bird kind of expanded it in a very big way.
right.
This one is true to the story that was being told by Peter Brown in his book.
Mm.
Also, it opens the door because there are two more books. And so if Universal is looking for a new franchise like How to Train Your Dragon, I think this opens up the door because the other two books have great stories as well and follow on from this. And so if you read the trilogy, it feels really complete, really fulfilling, and really true to what he's trying to do. It's not a sellout. So I want more of this. I think the relationships that were developed between the robot and the animals, between Lupita Nyong'o and Pedro Pascal, the voice acting is superb.
Yeah.
Everything works. Mark Hamill is the bear. I had no
Yes.
idea. Completely unrecognizable until I saw the credit list at the end, and I was like, what? That is amazing.
For me, I think that is the other thing I'll speak to with regards to the casting, right? At no point did Roz feel like Lupita Nyong'o. At no point did Fink feel like Pedro Pascal. And I thought that was really cool.
The only thing, when the owl shows up, you're like, Ving Rhames. He is so instantly recognizable.
I didn't pick up Ving Rhames.
Oh, did you not?
Racist Bahir. I knew it was a black guy, but I didn't know.
No, I get that. Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, no shade one way or the other.
Oh, also Matt Berry.
Okay, Matt Berry is just fucking Matt Berry. Immediately when Paddler started talking, I was like, yep, Matt Berry. That's fine. Yeah, okay. But no, I think I like that about this film. I didn't know Pedro Pascal was in it. I completely forgot Lupita Nyong'o was in it. So sitting down, I didn't have Pedro Pascal's face floating over Fink. It was just a talking fox, and that was great. So I really appreciated that. I think there was a lot to love here. There's nothing much else on at the moment, I guess. This is definitely a movie you should be watching. I think if you're a fan of cinema, I think this is cinema. This is great storytelling.
It is great storytelling. It is the kind of great animation that we often see coming out and breaking free of that Disney Pixar mold. Sony Animation has done it. DreamWorks has done it a couple of times. Leica Studios is constantly doing it. And so it's nice when something like this happens because it's so rare.
Also, you said animation. This thing's fucking beautiful.
Oh my God, it looks so good.
I want high res screen grabs just so I can put it on my phone. This thing's beautiful. There's a certain sort of watercolor element to the background. When the characters are running and moving, there's a real tactile feel to the animation, right? It's not like the Spider-Verse style, which is, yes, it's different, animated on the tools and blah, 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 blah. And that makes you feel something, makes you react differently to the images on screen. However, this feels tactile. This feels like a painting, and I love that.
And I like when they try to do this sort of hybrid. It worked really well with Puss in Boots. We saw it in Mitchell's versus the Machines. This one kind of fine-tunes and refines that idea even more.
Yeah.
And so, yes, there is an element of computer-generated CGI stuff, but also that textured, hand-drawn look is fantastic and looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And I can't get enough of it. There are these warm hues throughout the film, especially during the fall seasons and summer seasons, that look absolutely stunning. This thing is just gorgeous.
There's a bit at the end where there's a forest fire that happens, and the decision to make that forest fire purple and not a more natural color like oranges or reds was really striking. The animals bathed in a glow of purple flames just looked different. It looked ominous. It looked scary. It gave you the feeling of threat as opposed to just, oh yeah, fire.
I think we have a strong contender here for next year's Oscars. I think this thing is leading the pack, in my opinion. I really loved Inside Out 2, don't get me wrong, but The Wild Robot feels exciting. It feels new.
I came out of Inside Out 2 not as excited as I was after I came out of Inside Out 1. It felt more of the same. It just blew me away. For me, this is up there.
We really think you need to take your kids to go and see this. You will not be disappointed, both as an adult, and I think your children will absolutely love it too.
I would dare go as far as to say if you don't have kids, grab some nephews or nieces.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Fuck it. Just go by yourself.
You should absolutely go by yourself.
Sit in the cinema and cry like Bahir did. That
Cry
is
like I did,
what you have to do, motherfuckers.
You shut your mouth.
By the way, Bahir, I have for you from Universal
Okay.
a future Universal Dynamics customer sticker.
Oh, score!
That's
great.
When you watch the movie, you'll understand what that is. It is such a pitch perfect comedic moment in the film.
Perfect.
I loved
Beautiful.
it. I loved it so much. Go watch The Wild Robot. It is now showing in cinemas. Just watch this over everything else that's showing in cinemas right now. Do this first and then go watch all the other stuff. Let us know what you think. Once you've seen it, you know how to reach out. Goggler MY, all of our social media feeds. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.